So I will yourselves if I can if you can do so. Bettina Staudt is the main author, if I understand it right, of the paper. She comes from Chesterfield County Public Schools and Virginia Dual Language Education Network in the United States. Her areas of expertise are educational policy, planning and leadership, education surveillance, global competency development, dual immersion education, professional development for administrators and teachers, language teaching and learning, lots of areas. The second presenter is Beatrix.
So I have a very similar profile to Bettina. We are collaborating. I'm past president of the Virginia Dual Language Educators Network. I work for Beatrix County Public Schools and global competency administrative development for public school administrators, as well as teacher development.
And finally, Giuliana, right?
I'm Giuliana, Brink, and I'm a principal at Chesterfield County Public Schools for the elementary level.
And I just want to set the record straight. It's very flattering and kind introduction, but we are all equal co-presenters and co-creators of the paper. It wasn't me. We are a team.
Okay.
And we're missing out on a wonderful colleague of ours, Buntich, who serves as the principal of one of our case studies, Elizabeth Scott Elementary. She couldn't be here today, but she'll speak to her. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
And the topic of the presentation of the talk is global educational transformation, how inclusive dual language immersion practices positively impact student achievement and social intercultural competence.
Thank you so much. So just to get started, we wanted to explain, we're coming and giving you a practitioner insight, right? We don't come as researchers, we're practitioners in the field. We take all the good research on dual language immersion, which dates decades, and we put it into practice into public school systems. Fairfax County is the largest district in Virginia. Chesterfield County is the 5th largest district. So we're talking about, I think you have 180 schools. We have 65 schools, 65,000 students. You have how many students?
182,000.
So, and we want to emphasize these are public schools, right? We're tracking data, and we want to share that with you because we're very proud of our students and our teachers. And oh yeah, so we're talking really quickly about dual language immersion. For those who are not familiar with it, is we teach language through content. So our children learn math, science, literacy in one language, and then the other part of the day is spent in English, which is our public school language in the United States. Chesterfield County Public Schools will demonstrate 2 cases with Bobby Gates Elementary. Giuliana will speak to it, and Elizabeth Scott. And then, of course, Beatrix will speak to a model that they've implemented. Fairfax County has been amazing, leading the nation in what they've done, not just with dual language immersion, they elevated it with global competency, and so Beatrix that. So really quickly, won't take too much time. So we decided to go into dual language immersion simply because the evidence is the data is compelling. We wanted to reach all our students for high academic achievement. And we wanted, in our day and age, it's really about biliteracy and bilingualism. And most importantly, at this day and age, it's really the social intercultural competence. We have so many different student demographics, not just in the United States, everywhere. I mean, we have migrant children, transitional children, they come in, they leave after a year. So all this, we took the data, we worked with Virginia Collier and Wayne Thomas, they're all from Virginia. And these are really the leaders, in their research. And so we're very fortunate to work with them. I'm going to hand it over to Giuliana. She'll introduce Bobby Gates Elementary School.
Bobby Gates Elementary School in our district is really a medium-sized school. We have a total enrollment, 550 to 600 students every year. We have a very diverse population. If you look at our numbers, Hispanic, 2 or more, Asian, Pacific. But what we're most known for is we're the largest center for students with disabilities. In the bar graph, you can see that our largest number of students with disabilities, of course, is speech and language impairment, which we know our elementary school students come in and just need to fix up language. But we also have intellectual disabilities, multiple disabilities. We teach an adaptive curriculum as well as the standards of learning curriculum. So what I love about our school is that they embrace the differences in our students and we focus on the strengths. There's a level of empathy for those students with disabilities. And moving forward, what we decided to do, we have a large population of students that are deaf and hard of hearing, and we service all of those students in our schools. So the challenge that we ran into is how can we integrate our deaf students with age-appropriate peers so that they develop a common language where they can communicate and then thus transfer those skills into the community. While we were working on this project with the dual language immersion, as a background, we also provided a world language, Mandarin Chinese, 1 time a week for 45 minutes for all students, kindergarten through 5th grade. And so in looking at what we already had in the building, we then quickly moved into how can we add in another dual language so that we're providing a true global experience for all of our students so that they're not stuck in just this primary English, but they're being exposed to other world cultures. So to begin with, in 2019, we started, the first American Sign Language immersion program in the United States for a public school. In that program, what we did was we started at the kindergarten level. When the parents came to register, they would come in and they would say whether they wanted their child in a dual language immersion class or not. And then we built the class based on the parent-student interest. And we integrated the finger spelling into the phonemic awareness and the phonics of learning the alphabets. Students then, when we're introducing high frequency words for reading or any type of vocabulary, we're learning those words in American Sign Language using finger spelling. In addition to that, we also introduced science concepts, and then the students made those relations with the American Sign Language. In 2020, when the pandemic was really in and everybody went virtual, we had spent the year before planning for the Chinese immersion program. And I asked the teachers at the beginning of the year, what do you want to do with this? Do you want to move forward? We've got a lot of challenges in front of us. And they said, no, let's do it. So again, in the spring, when we're registering kindergartens, this time we gave parents 2 choices. Or 3 choices. Do you want your child immersed in American Sign Language? Do you want them immersed in Mandarin Chinese? Or would you like your child just in a primary English class? And so the parents again chose, we built the lottery system and we just pushed it forward. What was amazing during this pandemic in a virtual world, by the end of the year, these children were counting to 100 in both English and Mandarin, doing one-to-one correspondence in math and Mandarin, and English. And there are videotapes and links in here that once it's published, you would be able to dive in a little bit deeper to actually see the learning of the children. It blew us away. So then from there, when we moved hybrid, we just continued to go forward. You can click now. Today, we have grown the American Sign Language program. Next year, we'll go into 4th grade. And our Chinese immersion program will expand into 3rd grade. And 3rd grade is where you start to test the language. So we'll be able to test that language. However, with American Sign Language, we're creating from the ground up. We use the standards of learning curriculum, and then we figure out how to support those students in the setting. We have 2 pieces of state data here that we're using to guide our students. One is the PALS, which is a phonological awareness language. It's like a diagnostic screening that we use for all students, kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. And when you look at the data, this is this year's spring data, 2023, you can see in all 3 grade levels of kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade that the 2 immersion programs outperformed the other classes in their grade levels. In 3rd grade, our students start taking what we call the standards of learning, which is a state mandated growth assessment. We assess them at the beginning of the year, the mid-year, and at the end of the year. And so these are our end of the year data. So in our 3rd grade ASL DLI class, you can see that those students in both reading and math in the dual language immersion class both outperformed the other three classes at that grade level. What I'm most proud of is that our students with disabilities are immersed in both of these language programs. We do not discriminate. It's not a gifted, high-achieving program. It's just a way to activate the brain and introduce curriculum in 2 different languages. And based on the results, you can see that this is really beneficial to student growth and performance. Our next example is going to be from Julie Buntich. She is the principal of Elizabeth Scott Elementary School. I don't see her video loaded either. So I'll talk about Elizabeth Scott for you. So we have Elizabeth Scott is slightly bigger. They go between 775 and 800 students. What is most impressive is that what Ms. Buntich did, because she has a very diverse, again, population, you can see that 44.5% of her students are Hispanic. But they're not just Hispanic from Spain or Nicaragua. They come from all over South America, with Castilian really being the least amount of students in the South American different versions and dialects of Spanish. So what Julie did is she started a dual language immersion program with a 2-way system of integrating the Spanish language with the English content, again, using the SOLs and the curriculum there to benefit her students. What her data has shown, again, is she had a 92% pass rate in the 3rd grade reading SOL. They are growing the program, the 2-way immersion to 4th grade next year. She also benefited in having the students on the language diagnostic test. The students scored into the 6th to 8th grade language range, only having 4 years of the primary language, English or Spanish, and then being assessed in that language skills. So we are just 2 schools out of 40 elementary schools in Chesterfield County Public Schools that are doing the immersion programs, and we hope to build a model that we can continue to explore and expand in Chesterfield County. So now let's see what's going on in Fairfax.
And while we're transitioning, I just want you to know the video was slow in loading. So Julie actually speaks to her data. So as you're getting the slides, you'll be able to.
And we've loaded a bunch of other videos as well that you can watch while you're perusing the presentations there. Okay, to Fairfax County Public Schools. You've already heard how large we are. We are the 10th, approximately the 10th largest division within the United States. We are just outside of the Washington, D.C. area, which makes us incredibly diverse. Students in Fairfax County have over 200 different home languages when they come to us. So it's an amazing diversity. We've been having dual language immersion programs since 1989. So we've been at this for a while. And we've taken our programs through middle school, and then we are articulating also into the high school, but then they are becoming upper level language courses for the students. We are splitting our elementary school day into half. Half is taught in the target language, the other half is taught in English. And we have programming that are more world language focused, dual language programming, where we have mostly language learners in the program. And we have also programming where we are combining half language learners in the class with half language speakers in the class. And you will be meeting one of those classrooms later. Our data since the early 1990s has shown very similar academic outcomes for our students. We have measured our students' linguistic outcomes. If you're familiar with the ACTFL rating scale, they rate within the intermediate high, junior, intermediate high level, because we have to adjust the tasks, of course, to a 6th grader. their adult level tests. So they have incredible linguistic successes, incredible academic successes. We have shown that we are actually closing achievement gaps with our two-way immersion, especially with our two-way immersion programming. And we have sought and looked for ways to also measure the soft skills that this program develops. These intercultural competency skills that are also so critical in today's global collaborative environment that is needed. So to make that transition and to measure actual, we call them 21st century skills. I've heard transferable skills within this conference, or I've heard skills for the future. So whatever it is where you're measuring the soft skills for global and intercultural communication and collaboration, that is where we've created now rubrics to actually measure that progress. And we have created something we call the Global Classroom Project, where we are connecting Fairfax County Public Schools teachers and with their classrooms, with their partners, with a partner classroom abroad. So what that means for dual language immersion, which we have in 5 different languages. So we offer French, German, Japanese, Korean, and Spanish at the moment. We are always looking to expand into other sessions, into other languages as well. So I'll go through this quickly. The Global Classroom Project focuses on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals as the framework. We're using Portrait of a Graduate Skills, which are our soft skills, and we are fusing in content learning at the same time. So all that doesn't happen in a vacuum. We train our teachers with their international partners. We hold actually webinars for our international partners as we are onboarding this Global Classroom Project. So you're not just getting this, oh, here, do this with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We are providing the framework and a way for planning and communicating. So the project begins by the partner teachers collaboration. And then they are planning the SDG, the action that they want to take to better our world, the global education pieces that they want to address with their students. And of course, they're connecting the content and they're planning for the linguistic and cultural outcomes for that project as well. So it does take some planning. So with the kids, you see one of the partner classrooms as they connect. The kids are building relationships, so they're going through several steps for building relationships, getting to know each other's schools, their hobbies, what they do, etc., what they study, and then they move into the content, developing the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal that they would like to expand on, investigate, take action on. They look at action within their own communities. And as they are developing and learning about each other's communities and each other's challenges that they would like to address and help fix, they present to each other what they've created. And this, in dual language immersion, this all takes place in that target language of the classroom that they're doing. And then the last step, of course, is taking action and then reflecting on how did this go in your community? Let's take Nicaragua, Costa Rica. How did this go in Fairfax County Public Schools? So I'll take you quickly into one of our two-way classrooms. Again, half of the speakers are Spanish speakers, half of the students are Spanish learners. We are looking at 6th grade. They learn all about water. They're creating, as they learn about the importance of water for their community, they're looking at the Sustainable Development Goal 6, having access to clean water and sanitation for all. They are building portrait of graduate skills, our 21st century skills, and they have connected with the school that is about 7 hours flying and 65 hours of driving. So of course we're doing this virtually. The kids meet several times to discuss, connect, and reflect on the global, local action that they have been taking. Quickly, where everything is being done in Spanish, and I'm running out of time, so I have a minute, but please join us. The QR code gets you directly to the Global Classroom website. If you know somebody who would like to participate, you saw where we all have classrooms connected. Please pass this information along to classroom teachers. We're looking for sustained partnerships. So it's not just a one project and done. We have teachers that are connecting year after year after year and are really building this and building the capacity in themselves and with their students. We have connected classrooms as young as kindergarten and as old as 12th grade. We are trying to match age levels. We wouldn't match somebody from kindergarten with the 10th grade classroom. So we want kids to have something to share, to take collective action, local, global action. And with that, I would like to thank you for attending. Thanks for looking at this global transformation. Again, this is within public schools. And if you would like more information on any of the programs you heard about today, please use the QR code. We will be back in touch with you. So thank you for coming.
So we're great. This is a different QR code on the last, and you get the slide deck. This is just if you want to get in touch with us, and we would really love to partner because you bring the research in your schools, we're taking research and implement it into our public schools, right? So thank you so much.
We also have brochures that we'll put out on the table too that have the QR codes on them also. Thank you.
Thank you, Beatrix, Bettina, and Giuliana. Now we've got some time for questions. Yes.
That's right. Thank you so much for your presentation and everything that you're doing in TLI. I know how important that is. So my colleague and I teach languages at the university level. And I think, question I have is, do you know of any studies or have you seen kind of that bridge going to and for students continuing at the college level or kind of being more globalized students in essence? And that may be a little early to tell, but if you're seeing effects.
So we have students that have already graduated from colleges. Some of them have come back as dual language immersion teachers in our program. So if that is not a great testimony to what these programs can do also linguistically, because into these programs we have to hire teachers with native to near native skills because you're teaching content and you need that linguistic flexibility. So it's a great way to develop language to a very natural near native ability teachers.
And we might want to direct you to Utah. Utah has really funded them and they really built a teacher pipeline. I don't know how much study there is on higher ed in terms of, but we all know they really have created a system where they recruit teachers back. Right.
With the seal of biliteracy, right?
Yes, we do that as well. Yeah, it's a nation.
There was one more question, right?
Not really. Not my question.
Okay.
I asked for my education. My language teacher. By the way, I'm actually from University, Norway, and thank you for this presentation. I was curious, do you have any data or any indication how these bilingual immersion pupils do in high school? Do they?
Yeah, we do. So within our middle school program, they're taking a specialized immersion course is we call them immersion transition. They get a much higher level of linguistic instruction, and we are still systematically building their linguistic structures, etc., and filling in some of the pieces that they may not have had time for at the elementary level. By ninth grade, they may often, and there it depends a little bit also on their level of maturity in general and their linguistic maturity in general. But they're typically ready for AP. For IB, they're a little young, so we are filling those classes with coursework, also advanced language level coursework. Yeah, but they usually by 9th, 10th grade, they are taking their APs. And then the goal is for us to have, Utah calls it the Bridge program, where they have dual enrollment or additional language study where they already receive college credit.
Thanks a lot. There might be some more questions asked during the break.